All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Lit in English. And we are finally back to our presentation to go on this amazing journey. And together we will spread this amazing knowledge to every corner of the world. And I am greatly appreciate and grateful for you to be here with me today because with all of us, we will be able to gain great knowledge. So, for many of you who have been following the program, we have started since January 1st, 2023. We have went through 4 seasons of Lit in English, and at this time of the program, we are going to share or present a topic every week on Wednesday at 10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And before we start, I would like to thank my teacher, my many of the wise men who have taught and share many lessons with not only myself but my fellow journeyers on this great journey to understanding our inner self, acquire inner peace, and elevate our inner wisdom. And thank you very much for joining us this evening. All right. So just like usual, I would like to invite you to draw along with me. And today's topic, we are going to discuss gratitude. All right, so let's go ahead and write the word gratitude right in the middle. So this is a build up episode or build up presentation to the one that we had last week on compassion. So if you haven't seen the episode on compassion, I would highly recommend to go back and view the presentation on compassion, so that we can learn how to have compassion for ourselves and then having compassion for others. Because if we can go on in life in that way, we will be able to um, learn a lot, make new friends, and most importantly, we will understand ourselves better, and it open to many, many doors. And that is half of the formula. Compassion is half of the formula to acquire or to create the life that you want. Gratitude would be the second part to the formula, and this is what we are going to discuss today. So the word gratitude, it is quite broad, but for beginner, I guess, so the most common meaning for gratitude is just being thankful. Okay, so being thankful, like for me, for example, I live in Pacific Northwest of United States, and for the U.S. culture, it is huge to say thank you. Thank you is like one of the most important words, and we hear it a lot. We hear it very often, and that is something that I am very grateful for living here in the U.S. because that is engraved into the culture. That is part of the culture. People are nice. People tend to be thankful. They always thank you for whatever you do. Doesn't matter how small or big it is. And part of the culture that I have gotten familiar with is praying prior to having a meal, as in like having lunch or dinner. And I think that is very, very beautiful. And from that perspective, that is exactly what gratitude is. Having gratitude is having a sincere appreciation, always being thankful for what we have. Because you know what? By existing in this world, we own a debt of gratitude from millions of people because we always receive many, many gifts that far beyond what we can imagine. Like even us sitting here right now, communicating to the Zoom call, it is important for us to appreciate the internet, appreciate the application, and most importantly, we need to appreciate each other because without you, we wouldn't have this meeting. But without this technology, we might not be able to sit in here and sharing this amazing knowledge. So there are many, many things in life that we need to be appreciative of. And that is what gratitude is all about. So the practice of gratitude is going beyond uh, just say a simple thank you, right? Because people can say thank you, but they might not necessarily mean what they said, or they might not know what they are thankful for. But for us, we have a very clear image of what we are saying thank you to. So the first thing that I would like to share with you is the way we are looking at the world, the way we looking at things around us. So let's use this piece of paper for an example. I just wrote down the word gratitude, as you can see. If I were to ask you a question, what can you see when I hold a piece of paper up just like this? And most people would say that I see a piece of paper, and they would be right because it is a piece of paper. But I would like to invite you to see beyond that. Because for me, when I look at a piece of paper, I I can see me myself went to the store in the past to bought a package of paper where I spend money to buy it. But that very money come from the hard work that I have invested in to make. And prior to the package of paper get to that store, it it was able to um, drive in there from somebody from the factory, and then in order to make this piece of paper, maybe we need to use a tree somewhere that got chopped down to make into this piece of paper. And then many things beyond that, like the lifeline of the tree and then the sun. All I'm saying is the entire world is interconnected. And once we realize that interconnectedness, we learn to appreciate everything around us. Right. And the ability to see is something that we would go in deeper in our the presentation. But just a quick preview on the ability to see or the will to see is that a piece of paper is not simply a piece of paper. is connects us to the universe is the universe itself. So understanding that, we learn to appreciate more things in our life. And to demonstration that, I would like to tell you a short story that I have read recently. And the story is about a cloud, like a cloud in the sky, and that cloud casts a shadow on a river every single day. And the river loved the cloud so much that every time it get to see the cloud, it was so happy because the river admired the beauty of the cloud, and the river appreciated and had gratitude every single day that the river see the cloud. But then one day the river waited and waited, and yet the river didn't see the cloud anywhere. And the river felt very sad about this. However, unbeknownst to the river, the cloud in the sky has turned into rain and blended into the river. So the essence of all things in the world is interconnected. There is an interconnectedness. The existence of one entity lead to the existence of another. So we are connected to an entity, not separate or distant. And then this is extremely important because in order in order for all of us to be here today to have this conversation, we have to have a parent that give birth to us. And not only they gave birth to us, they have to be able to survive to when they can give birth to us. And that's not the only thing there because they continue to take care of us, love us, and give us support to grow up to be who we are today. And then without the existence of our grandparents, then our parent wouldn't be there to give birth to us. And all of the interaction in the world that our parent went through, our grandparent went through, are very essential for us to be here today. If only one thing changed, okay? Imagine if your father did not meet your mother. Maybe they were supposed to meet at a store, but imagine that on that fateful day, um, they decided to not showing up, then you would never be born. So the entire universe itself had to be connected and prearranged, and it formed adequate condition for us to be here. So understanding that, it is extremely important to have gratitude. And another word for it that I would like to introduce to you is appreciative or appreciate. So I would like to write down here, and we are going to explore a lot of new word today, just because of the nature of the term. So for gratitude, in order to understand it, it is important for us to understand the word appreciate. And then in order to have gratitude, we have to be grateful. And my teacher once said, to possess, one must appreciate. To be eternal, one must be grateful. So, what does that mean? It means that in order to acquire something, in order to have something, you must appreciate it. And in order to have a long lasting things, in order to have it eternally, one must be grateful. So gratitude here break down to two. One is appreciative and one is grateful. Another word that we could use just to just to emphasize the important and broad of gratitude, and because there's a different in language in Vietnamese and in English, it is important for us to explore different word that could stand for appreciative and gratitude. So another word that we could use for appreciative and gratitude is cherish. We can cherish something. So the quote can say that in order to achieve something, you have to cherish it. To possess is to cherish, and in order for it to be eternal, you have to be grateful. So that's another definition that is interchangeable for appreciative. And what else? What about treasure? You can treasure something. Something is so important to you that you can treasure it. Possess is to treasure. To be eternal is to be grateful. And all of this has an ultimate meaning that most people can be related to, and that is thankfulness. So if you want to be simple, you only need to remember the word thankfulness. So I would like to read the quote again. To possess, one must appreciate. To be eternal, one must be grateful. Appreciative and grateful, appreciative and gratitude is the key. And it is the energy of appreciation and gratitude that is the most wonderful energy in the world. And it can literally can transform a person's life for the better. And there's a common occurrence in our life. Now, let me ask you this question. Do you know why we are so grateful when someone helped us once with something very small? But if they help us repeatedly, then we would take it for granted and no longer feel grateful. Let's say our parent, for example, they gave birth to us, they take care of us when we was younger, and they provided us so many opportunities. But as I observe, I see that often the children doesn't get along with the parent. And when they got out to the street, And when a stranger provide them some food and some drink, they will be so grateful. So the feeling of being grateful, the feeling of appreciative something is a feeling where we are receiving something that we feel important to us, but we didn't expect other to to give it to us. As in we having something that we didn't feel like we deserve it. And when we repeatedly receiving things from others, we become we take it for granted pretty much. And when that happens, when we take things for granted, appreciation and gratitude disappear. And most importantly, resentment will form. So let's use the word resentment. It's one of the important one that we need to avoid. Resentment. And this is one of the key words that we need to understand in order to apply gratitude correctly. Okay. So this is very much familiar, similar to the principle of light, the binary system for those who have following lit in English. So gratitude is kind of like light, and resentment is kind of like darkness. So when we take things for granted, that is the sign of the disappearance of appreciation and gratitude. And that is when resentment is formed. And this is one of the issue that often occurs in life, like the example of the parent to the child, because we love them so much, or because our parents love us so much, and they keep giving, they're giving us so much that we take it for granted. We see it as a given. Okay, we see it as that like, oh, because you are my parent, of course you have to do this for me. And if we are not careful, appreciation and gratitude will disappear, and the resentment will form. And remember what I shared earlier about appreciate and grateful. The quote is, to possess, one must appreciate. To be eternal, one must be grateful. And if we lose the energy of appreciative and we take it for granted, resentment will form, and we will lose what we have. And this is something that I see very, very, very often nowadays with my generation and with the younger generation. I often see social influencer on YouTube or on TikTok. They was able to get very, very famous, and they make really good money. And in the beginning, they were so thankful. They appreciate their followers so much, and they keep saying thanks you. They keep saying how grateful they are. But when they reach a certain success, when money start coming in, and they started to showing off their lifestyle, they they started to see their success as a given, and they take things for granted. And in that split moment when they lose appreciation and gratitude, they started to make a mistake, and they ended up losing the entire thing, the entire YouTube channel, whatever social media that they use. And it happened all around us. I have seen it so often. Therefore, gratitude can help protect us. It is very, very important to be grateful to everything that we have, and I promise you, we have so much. It's just the fact that we are here today, you know, being alive, have technology to join this meeting. Many of us still have loving parents. Some even have children, and there are so many things that we did not make, but we are enjoying it. The freedom, the house, the car, the computer, the phone, electricity, like the pen that I am used right here, the paper, the chair that I am sitting on. If I were just by myself, there is no way that I can enjoy all of this. And I read up a study saying that, how like back in the days, everybody want to be king because king can have anything, all of the greatest food, live in a fancy house, and they can learn from the greatest historian at that time. But the life that we are having right now, anyone who is living right now, you are much wiser than the king back in the day. And you are living the life that those kings can't even comprehend, they can't even imagine of the great technology, of the great food that we are able to have. So we are having so much, but if we don't exercise gratitude, if we don't exercise thankfulness, resentment will appear, and we will start losing the things that we possess. It won't be eternal. So appreciative, being appreciative and being grateful, it is super, super important. And I want you to remember that wherever there is resentment, then the sense of entitlement has formed. And because of that, we need to learn how to avoid resentment. And we don't want to let entitlement set in. And we have to remind ourselves to maintain that energy of being moved by the kindness of other, being moved by the kindness of our parent. And we gotta learn how to give so that we can keep the energy going because we have receiving so much coming into this world. We already getting things that we didn't even work for, and we had to pay it forward to remain appreciative, to avoid resentment. So appreciation and gratitude for people present is one of the main point here as well. Let me put my laptop in real quick. 1 second. My laptop is running out of battery. All right. So appreciation and gratitude for people present is something that we need to be aware of because nowadays we live in society. We work with others. We need to appreciate other people around us. As I mentioned earlier, people bring things to us. The only way for us to have everything that we have to get it from others. Even our own life. It was our parent who provided to us. If we want to have a job, we have to find a job from somebody else, and someone have to hire us. Even if we are a business owner, we are still serving somebody's needs. So we have to be thankful to our customer that providing us an opportunity to serve them. And just like how the cloud will rain down and be one with the river, and how the river run to the sea and evaporate, become back to the cloud, everything is interconnected. What you are received today is most likely due to some sort of good deed that you did in the past. And understanding this, it is important to be kind, to be nice, to show appreciation, to show gratitude for others, because that very same energy, it will eventually going back to you. And on that note, of course, like life is not always like sunshine and rainbow. There will be occasion that would happen. Let's say if someone were to do something wrong to us, it would be difficult for us to be grateful to that wrongdoing. So that wrongdoing is adversity in general, as in something very, very challenging. So we have to be careful about appreciating adversity, because if we mistakenly doing that, then more adversity will come. So what we need to do is that we need to find lesson. We need to find lesson from adversity. So finding lesson and insight or enlightenment from adversity will help us to always have a positive perspective. And when adversity comes, we need to find lesson to grow, and we draw lesson from adversity. And that very principle will help us overcome a problem. So the important key about this is when undesirable things happen to us, it is important that we take the initiative to have compassion, because doing that, remember that compassion is something that we shared last week. When undesirable things happen, we need to initiate compassion, because that will bring our inner state back to a very balanced state, non-attachment. And then after that, with appreciation and gratitude for the lesson, that will help bring the inner mind, the inner self, to a more positive um, form of energy. And from there, we are simpler to attract positive things that happen to us in the future. And I know this might be a lot of confusion here, but the key is life, everything is interconnected, and there is a cycle. Just like the cloud becoming rain, and it's become the river, and then it become the ocean, and it's evaporate back to the cloud. So everything is interconnected, and our life is similar in that way. Whether we facing uh, undesirable outcome, or when we facing adversity, it is the causation of things that we have done in the past. Therefore, instead of focusing on the negative side of it and might have a negative action, which will spiral down the negative outcome in the future. The teacher, the wise man, had taught us that we need to remind ourselves to be appreciate and being grateful even when things are unfavorable to us. Because we understand that life is a cycle. There's an interconnectedness. And if we can learn the lesson from adversity, if we can go on with appreciative and being grateful, then we will come out as a better person. And I would like to demonstrate this to you by one of my favorite story. And the story is about the young man, the old man, and his son, his young son. And this is one of the very famous folk tale in Vietnam and in China. So the story goes there in the village there was an old man, and that old man he lived with his son, and they live a good life. They are farmer. They have a horse, and all their livelihood they rely on that horse to help them with farming work. The son and the old man live a very good life in a very supportive community. But one day, for some reason, the horse ran away, and the neighbor came over, and they felt so sorry. They tell the old man how sorry they are that the old man only had one horse, and now that the horse ran away, um, they wouldn't be able to do all the farm work as efficient as before. The old man just smiled, and he only said that we will see. So the neighbor are very puzzled. But they did what they had to do. You know, they already came over to show their support to the old man. So they just go home. A few days later, the horse came back, but it didn't just come back by itself. The horse came back and it bring back another wild horse, and it's not just any wild horse. It's a beautiful black fur horse, one of the very rare breed. And all of the sudden, instead of losing all of his wealth, the old man actually gained double of his wealth. He not only he had one horse, but he had two horses now, and one of the horses is very very valuable. And the neighbor they were so happy. They came over. They congratulate the old man and his son. But the old man only said that it is okay. We will see. And a couple of days after that, the son trying to get the new horse to train the new horse to do the farm work. And unfortunately, the wild horse kicked the young boy and broke his leg. And so again, the neighbor, the caring neighbor, was very supportive. They came over and they tell the old man's house this is such a tragedy. You know, he only have his son to support him to help him with the farming work, but now that the son has a broken leg, he wasn't able to do the farm work anymore. And the old man only smiled and said, "We will see." And then a couple of months after that incident, the country go to war, and all able young men were drafted to fight a very, very tough war. And none of the young men who went to the war come back. Fortunately for the old man, because his son had the broken leg, he wasn't able to go to war. And after a few months of resting, the leg healed up, and the son was continuing to live with the old man and help his father out. And of course, the neighbor was very happy for the old man and his son, and they came over and they congratulate him. They're telling him how lucky he is to to live his old day with his son. But the old man only smiled and said, "We will see." So there are many stories, many lessons that we can learn from that story. But the lesson that I want you to focus the most on is how when bad thing happened, when the horse ran away, the old man didn't let that bother him. He learned the lesson behind adversity. Maybe the son forgot to lock the door or something, so the horse ran away. By keeping a very balanced inner state of mind, he was able to be appreciative. He chose to be appreciative to his son and his neighbor rather than focusing on adversity, and he learned from the lesson. And because of that, the horse came back and bring an extra horse. But he showed appreciation and appreciate and gratitude toward that. So when adversity happened, when the young boy, his son, got into the accident, but he was still able to keep that appreciative energy and avoid resentment. He was able to attract even more fortunate event. So being appreciative and being grateful, not only when good things happen, but keeping the energy of appreciation during hard time, during adversity is important as well. So that is something that I would definitely recommend to keep in mind. And we are about 43 minutes in, so there's one part that I would like to go over. And during the sharing, feel free to raise your hand and comment or ask a question or share anything interesting that you have learned from the presentation. I would love to interact with you as well because this is how all of us can learn. So I know even though I often like present and sharing a lot, but feel free to raise your hand when we get into a good like break, then I will get to your question and we can interact. And once again, thanks very much. Thank you for joining our presentation and going on this journey. Yeah, I see Jasmine raise her hand, and I still have one part, but I would love to hear from her as well. So, Jasmine, feel free to unmute.
Hello, Ben. Can you
Hello.
hear me well?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, everyone. So I understand gratitude, or like appreciate and grateful are very important in life, but why do we have to do it? Like if you can summarize and give it one sentence, why do we have to do it? Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Jasmine. So the main point of gratitude is all fall in one sentence. And this is something that I have learned from a teacher. And the saying said that to possess one must appreciate, to be eternal, one must be grateful. So appreciation and gratitude is the key to a good life, the key to going closer to a holistic life that we have been sharing here in Lit in English. It is about getting closer to the seven holistic wealth, and having gratitude is the first step to the key to enrich your life. Because to possess, one must appreciate. To be eternal, one must be grateful. So let's borrow the lesson from the seven holistic wealth. Let's say if we want to have a healthy body, right? The formula is we need to appreciate our body first. So there's a story about a very famous American author named Helen Keller. She a person with disability. She was blind and she was deaf when she was only 12 years old. I mean 12 months old. So during the first 6 years of her life, she couldn't feel anything. And in a way, she doesn't even know that she needed to appreciate. So, but once she was taught from her teacher, and once she started to communicate with the teacher and communicate with the world, instead of be having resentment of not be able to see or not be able to hear, she understood gratitude, and she appreciate how blessed she was to have a loving family, to have a wonderful teacher, to have a community. And because she appreciate the knowledge, appreciate the community, and she learned to appreciate herself, she started to possess many favorable things, many favorable outcomes. And in order to keep that, we must have the energy of being grateful. So, for example, a more realistic or real life example. Have you ever noticed how some people um, they might become very successful? For example, let's say they start a restaurant, and all of a sudden they become so successful. They make so much money. I have so many friends who are like that. But if you can observe them for a couple of years, um, the next thing you know, they close down their restaurant. They started to be in debt, and that happened because they no longer appreciate. They no longer have gratitude. In fact, they felt for resentment. All of the love, all of the support from their customer, they it's become they make it to be. They feel like it is granted. They take it for granted. They feel like it is a given. Or the story of I mentioned earlier about a social influencer. At first, when they get support from their follower, let's say from YouTube or a TikTok, they was very appreciative. But because they lose in that appreciative energy, and they take it for granted, and they have that resentment, and they lose everything very, very quickly. So understanding appreciation and gratitude and practicing appreciation and gratitude, you will be able to protect all of the good things that you have in life. And not only that, you will be able to attract favorable outcome that you want just by doing this one thing, just being thankful, just being appreciative, just being grateful. And as simple as it is, this is the absolute truth. It is the key to create the life that you want, whether you want to be a doctor, a lawyer, or a successful business owner, or maybe just a very successful student, or being a good parent, a good son, a good daughter. All of it boil down to appreciation and gratitude. So I wonder if I answered your question, Jasmine. Great question, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. I really love gratitude because I think that people in America they even have like Thanksgiving Day because they want to remind others to be thankful and giving at the same time. But often, because a lot of the younger generation these days, they were born in this culture and they forgot about this. And so by learning about this and remember how to be appreciate and grateful to other, it benefit all of us, especially myself. Also, I love what you said earlier, the quote you said earlier. About appreciate and grateful. I love that, but I don't remember. If you can
Is it the
repeat it.
one? Is it the quote said to possess one must appreciate,
Yeah,
to be eternal one must be grateful?
yeah. I think you can pause it in our root because that's really deep. And I also love another quote from Dr. Tao, like the more you appreciate the good appreciate as well. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the quote is when you appreciate the good appreciate. What that means is that whatever you have your appreciation for, it will grow. It's kind of like a tree. Yeah. When you give it good soil, the tree will grow. When you watering it, the tree will grow. It will bear flower, bear fruit. So appreciation and gratitude is kind of like taking care of the tree, of how you water it, you give it nutrition, and it will grow. And even though it sounds so simple, but this is literally the key to everything. Because for everything that you appreciate, you will receive. And it is so magical that I think many books can be written on this. So I guess I could do like a summary on what we did today. But if anybody else have question or if Jasmine have further questions that would like to discuss, I think that is important as well because I mean we all learn from question, great question like that, including myself. And gratitude, compassion is two of the three very important pillar of life. And gratitude is definitely my personal favorite. It is so easy to do, and is definitely um, gravitate you toward the life that you want. Okay.
Yeah, I'm good. I mean, if I have another question, it would be, how can I practice this gratitude daily?
One way to practice gratitude is just it doesn't take long. It's just maybe if you have 30 seconds, you can practice it for 30 seconds. If you have a minute, great, do it for a minute. If you have 5 to 10 minutes, you can do it for 5 to 10 minutes. But the keys to practicing appreciation and gratitude is you can either write it down, but the way that I like to do it is I like to go to a state of mindfulness, as in living in the present. Like the example that I gave earlier about the piece of paper. So when I look at a piece of paper, it's not just a piece of paper to me. I can see beyond the piece of paper. I can see how much work put in here, how many people would involved in this. or the next time that you eat like a nice meal, for example, just imagine how much work people have to put in. You know, the chef has to cook it, and then they have to get the ingredient from the farmer, the producer, and then the farmer had to spend so many days to take care of that tree to get that fruit to produce that food to you. And in fact, the entire universe itself has to come together for you to enjoy like a bowl of rice, for example, or a piece of steak. And all of it, everything around you is very magical. And Albert Einstein once said that you can either live life as if nothing is a miracle, or you can live life as if everything is a miracle. And for me, myself, I learned I'm working on it too. I'm trying to remind myself to live life as if everything is a miracle, because in fact everything is a miracle. Everything is interconnected, and that is something that I keep emphasizing today. Like the Zoom call that we have, the fact that we are all here, the computer, the internet. There are so many things that has to happen this way for us to be here. Even for our life, everything have to happen exactly the way that it's supposed to be for our parent, our grandparent, our great great grandparent, in order for us to be here. And we need to learn to appreciate that. So anything that you can be appreciated for, you know, if you have 30 seconds, just pick one to be thankful for. Be thankful for your parent, or whatever you are looking at. Just look around, anything, and anything you see, you can be appreciative for. And in fact, you know, one of the key point that was brought up from my teacher, he said that just imagine. And recently, I'm expecting a baby girl to everybody. So the example is about when people come to this world, okay, they come to this world empty-handed. They bring nothing with them. But you see, we have air to breathe. We are breathing right now. We have sunlight to warm us, to illuminate us. We have water to drink, and we get to take shower, take a bath every day. We have food to eat. We have clothes to wear. We have phone to use. We have house to live in. There are so many things that we are receiving, even though we haven't done anything to deserve that. So there are things that beyond what we can comprehend. And understanding that, and understand how the world works, how like everything that go around will come around. And by appreciating things, things will appreciate. And it is the one practice that will surely help us materialize the life that we want. And this is the key. This is the very foundation. And obviously, we can talk about this topic for days, even months, because it is one of the founding principle of the word. So thank you very much for the great question, Jasmine. And of course, we will have many opportunity in the future to discuss this very topic. And I would like to keep this presentation within an hour, but don't worry, we will have many more in the future, everyone. So with that, I would like to thank you very much for being here with me today, and I hope that you can learn a couple of some important key point here for the presentation today on gratitude. You know, if you have to remember something, just remember the quote that Jefferson mentioned earlier. That is, to possess, one must appreciate. to be eternal, one must be grateful. And to that, I wish you best of luck, and I will see you next week, everyone. All right.
Thank you. See you
Thank
next week.
you.